Thank you for joining us for part 2 of this 3-part series. Part 1 was motorcycle tie-downs. This episode, loading ramps. And the third episode, how to properly load your motorcycle.
Hello, I'm Carl Bradshaw, and welcome to part 2 of this 3-part series. In this episode, we're going to be talking about motorcycle ramps. Now, if you didn't already see it, please take a look at the top link down below, and that'll take you to part 1 of this 3-part series, where we're talking about motorcycle tie-downs, how to properly choose the correct tie-down for your application. Now, today we're going to be talking about motorcycle ramps, and part 3 of this video is going to be how to successfully load and unload your motorcycle into the back of a truck. Now, before we get started, I want to thank Mountain Motorsports for having me out today. They have a huge selection of tie downs and ramps, so if you need anything, please take a look at the link down below to their website where you can peruse these items, or give them a call. The phone number is down there as well. They'll be happy to help you with any of the needs that you have when it comes to tying down or hauling your motorcycle. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is ramp length. As you can see, the various lengths of these ramps will allow you to either more easily or more sketchily load your motorcycle into the bed of your truck or the trailer that you happen to be hauling your bike in. Now, when it comes to ramps, there are several things to take a look at. There are straight ramps, there are arched ramps, there are folding ramps, there are trifold ramps, there are aluminum ramps, and there are steel ramps. There's a lot of different things to take a look at when choosing which ramp will be best for your application. Now, in part 3 of this video, where I showed the unloading and loading of my 950 Super Enduro, you're going to see that I'm using 2 different ramps. One is an off-the-shelf ramp, and the other one is a custom ramp that I made out of 2 different sets of Harbor Freight ramps. As you can see by the 4 ramps set up here today, the shorter the ramp, the steeper the angle is going to be. Now, you can absolutely run into huge problems if your ramp isn't long enough for the type of truck that you're loading your bike into. For example, the first ramp there in the front is a very short ramp that I purchased because I saw it in a catalog and I saw how it functioned and I loved it. Now, when I saw the function of that ramp, I was stoked and bought one immediately. Well, I used it once. So the first time that I opened that ramp up and set it against the tailgate of my truck, I flipped out. Take a look at the angle of that ramp as compared to this one right here. This is a Harbor Freight ramp that I modified, but I was using 2 of these, and that was going to be my replacement ramp, so it folded up a lot smaller. I'd have 1 big ramp and 1 small ramp, but the angle that provided just didn't work for me, so I really have never used that rush ramp. It's kind of sad. I mean, the functionality of the ramp is amazing. It's just too short for my particular application. So this year we're going to show you the takedown or the compact nature of this Rush motorcycle ramp. Like I said, I was stoked when I first saw it. So even if this was it, even if it was just folding in half, that would have been absolutely amazing and saved tons of room in the truck. But what really got me is the fact that this ramp shuts down again in half, and it gives you this really compact way to store your ramp. If you look at the amount of real estate that this ramp takes up in the truck as compared to these other 2, it's extremely less. And that got me really excited. Now, if any of you have a mini truck or a really low truck to the ground and you want that Rush ramp, please contact me in the comments below and we'll figure out a great deal for you. Now, a ramp that's at a super steep angle like that ramp there in the front can cause 2 different problems. The first problem is going to be when you're trying to load that bike, trying to push it up a ramp that steep is extremely difficult. The second problem you're going to have is the breakover angle here at the top. I've actually tried to load some metric cruisers and some Harley Davidsons with a ramp with a steep breakover angle like that, and the bottom of the motor actually hits the ramp and the truck bed and causes a really horrible situation. That's why it's imperative that you get a ramp that's long enough for your particular application. So if you take a look at these 2 ramps right here, you'll notice that the breakover angle here is nice and smooth as compared to that shorter ramp there in the front. Again, when it comes to ramps, there's curved ramps and flat ramp. Now, a curved ramp and a flat ramp might be the same length, but the breakover angle here at the top is what's going to change. A flat ramp is going to come straight up and then break over really sharp here at the top. Whereas an arched ramp, such as this guy right here, is going to be a little bit steeper there at the bottom, but it's going to arch in the center and give you a smoother breakover angle that you can see right here at the top, with the comparison of these two ramps. Now, one of the best investments that I've ever made when it comes to hauling a motorcycle is going to be this ramp right here. Not only does it have a 2,200 pound load rating, it's a trifold. So when it's sitting in the bed of the truck, it's actually relatively small. Each of these ends fold into the center, and the ramp itself in the bed of the truck is only this long. Now, when those pieces are extended, you can see I have a nice long ramp that's not very steep and gives me a great breakover angle here at the top. Now, the feature and function that this ramp that I like the most is the fact that it converts into a bed extender. So right here, looking at the 950, you see that this rear wheel is sticking out over the tailgate. I can't close the tailgate when running this motorcycle in the bed of the truck. That's where the bed extender comes in handy. It simply plugs in, attaches, it's nice and secure, and it works extremely well. So it's really three functions that I like about that ramp. Number one, it's super small. Actually four. Number one, it's small. Number two, it's aluminum and it's relatively lightweight. Number three, it's got a 2,200 pound load capacity. And number four, it doubles as a bed extender. Super functional. Now, something else to consider when looking at which motorcycle ramp to purchase is how they attach to the top of the truck. Whether they have prongs, whether they have a flat piece of metal. That attachment could make or break the ramp being able to work effectively on your particular tailgate or trailer, so make sure that you take a look at the type of attachment point that that ramp has to the vehicle. Now, another thing to take a look at is how the ramp actually sits on the ground. You can see that this ramp here is extremely sharp. It actually digs into the pavement and into grass if I happen to be in a grassy surface. This one here is a little bit better, but not much. Here we're going to see a nice flat surface. It's going to give you a great secure platform where you know that the ramp's not going to slide around once you put weight on it. And again, this is the shorty guy ramp that I used once, put in the backyard, and really haven't touched until it was time to make this video. Now, really quick, let's flip this ramp up right here and take a look at one feature that most all modern ramps have, but they did not have years ago. That's going to be this strap down here at the bottom. That's going to be a retainer strap. That strap is going to keep the ramp from slipping away from the truck in two different occasions. If you're riding up the ramp or using power to push the motorcycle up the ramp and you're in the throttle, that rear tire could make that ramp skip out. It's a really bad scenario. The second scenario would be if you're pushing your motorcycle up the ramp, motorcycle on one ramp and you're using the second ramp as a foot ramp, as I will show you in part 3 of this video. That's how I personally like to load vehicles. Your feet could actually put enough pressure on the ramp in order to get it to slide out and fall down. That's a horrible situation that I have had happen to me on one occasion. Now, since then, I have modified these ramps in order to be able to tie to the truck. Now, these ramps didn't come with that sort of safety device. Again, these ramps are over 10 years old. They've served me extremely well, and I had to put my own type of restraint system on them. So let's jump under the truck real quick, and I'll show you what I've done. So on this Harbor Freight ramp right here, what I did was I attached an actual piece of chain to this guy that comes down and attaches to the truck. That's a very secure way. Again, it's what I had at the time. It's a little bit rudimentary, but it works really well. On the aluminum ramp that I've got, I went ahead and took an old tie down and went ahead and cut it down to the proper size. Utilizing an old tie down really can save you a lot of headache, hassle, and pain in the long run. And that there is how I keep this ramp from skipping out when under power and this ramp from sliding out as I'm using my feet to push the motorcycle up onto the ramp. And there you have it. Those are some of the finer points to take a look at when looking at shopping for a motorcycle ramp for your truck, your trailer, your RV, or whatever you want to transport your vehicle in. Now, there are so many different ramps out there and so many different situations that this obviously can't cover all of those situations. This video is really intended to give you an overview of some of the things that I've learned over the 40 years that I've been transporting motorcycles on trailers or in the beds of trucks. Thank you guys for watching today. I really appreciate it. Again, if you haven't seen episode 1, the link is down below. Episode 3 is going to be how to safely load and unload your motorcycle out of the bed of the truck, so make sure you stay tuned for that. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, notification bell, so you can be notified when that video is released. Before we go, I want to thank my Patrons. You guys are great, and you really help me to be able to get out there and make content such as this, so thank you. I really appreciate you and the work that you allow me to do. Again, thank you to Mountain Motorsports for having me out here today. And until next time, and as always, take care, ride safe, and I'll see you on the next one.